This is the Tech Phantom, and welcome to episode 17 and the mailbag episode of my Dark Souls walkthrough for the composite bow with no shield. And let me tell you guys, this was one of the hardest videos I've ever had to make, and it took an extremely long time. And that is because not only did I have to go through the game and learn the best places to show you what I am about to show you, I had to do quite a bit of research. I also had to create characters so that I was able to do this. So I ended up having to make 4 different characters and essentially having to do 4 playthroughs, figuring out the best footage, finding out the best footage that I could for you guys so that you would enjoy this episode. So with that said, what I'm going to be showing you in the background is what you guys have been asking for based on the review of the comments. I am going to show you my favorite cheese tactics for Dark Souls. And there is a little timeline in the description so that you guys can jump ahead or go back and review whatever you want. Some of these tips and tricks and some of my favorite cheese tactics, I guess, they're pretty well known. They're have been exploited quite a bit, but I think some are not as well known and are a little bit more obscure. And I think you guys will enjoy this. I don't think I found anything that hasn't been documented in YouTube before, but I thought this would be an excellent place to keep everything together in one essentially video, so that for the YouTube community, if they wanted to take a look at at least some of my favorite cheese tactics and uses for the bow, there was a place where they can come and see that. The problem with making cheese videos, especially with bows and arrows, is that the cheese takes a long time, and it's not really a lot of fun because a lot of the footage has to be sped up and it's pretty repetitive. Essentially, you putting a bunch of arrows into the boss or the enemy or what you have. So, what I decided to do is, as the cheese is playing in the background, I'm going to go through some of my favorite and more astute comments on my walkthrough. And thank you to all the viewers and subscribers that decided to post a comment and decided to view the series. Thank you very much. It makes it quite a bit of fun to go back and do a mailbag. So with that said, let's start going through the mailbag, and at the end I'll talk a little bit more about cheesing with the ball. All right, episode 1. DMT Infernocide says, "Why would you not use the great bows? They are so much fun." I don't particularly find the great bows to be a lot of fun. I like to fast roll, and they're pretty heavy, so they detract from my usual playthrough, which is with fast roll. But you are right; they are fun, and you are going to see in this cheese video that the great bows are featured quite a bit. Sleepy King 66 says, if you were not playing in the DLC, what elemental path would you have taken the bow?" I think what it means is, in a video I said that because the bosses in the downloadable content have high resistance to both magic and fire, that I decided to make a composite bow that scales, that was upgraded via the normal path. That I would not be using a lightning bow or a magic bow or a fire bow. So if I were not doing that, and if I was taking the bosses out with a different weapon, or if I wasn't playing the downloadable content at all, I would probably go with a chaos fire bow, and either the composite bow or the long bow. The composite bow will do more damage when it's upgraded with through the elemental path. The long bow will do a little bit less damage, but will have better range. So It's up to you. They're both essentially really, really good. But my recommendation is to go with chaos weapons because they scale with humanity and eventually they are stronger than either a fire or a lightning weapon. All right, so let's go to episode 2. Gokulori says, how do you know the fact that composite bows scales with 27 strength and 40 dexterity? I mean, where do you know that it is 27 and 40? Well, Goku, there's a couple of different ways to find out. Obviously, one is to look at your weapon damage on your menu screen before you upgrade and as you're upgrading. As you upgrade and add levels to your character, if you have the menu setting so that you're looking at the weapon damage, you will see how the level increases your weapon damage, and you can just keep track of that and find out at what point the scaling stops with with whatever particular attribute you're looking at. So that's one way to do it, but the way that I recommend, and I will try to put a link to this in the description, is do a Google of Dark Souls character planner. And one of the resources that I found invaluable was made by Mugen Monkey, and he has just an awesome Dark Souls character planner that not only does it allow you to figure out weapon attack rating, but he also has calculators for the armor, and he has a really awesome character creation screen where you can use that to sort of put a blueprint together of what your character is going to be like, what weapon you're going to use. This is very useful if you're doing a challenge run or if you're going to do a cosplay and you want to try to figure out the best levels as far as endurance, strength, magic, those types of things. So go to mugenmonkey.com or Google Dark Souls character planner, and there's an awesome calculator for figuring out attack ratings for the weapons, and that's how I found out about the 2740 scaling on the composite. John McPineapple says, it made me flip a table on the inside that you didn't pillage the corpse on the roof that you crossed 100 times for the jump. Whatever unimportant thing it might be, you just do not pillage a corpse. So, I'm sorry, John, but in this playthrough, I was just going to use the composite bow. I really wasn't going to need any other kind of a weapon. I think I accidentally ended up picking up a couple of things, but it was a composite bow build, so I was going to pick up some shields, but I was trying not to pick up any other superfluous items. So that's the reason I did it. But I am a completionist, and typically on all my run-throughs, I have to pick up every single item. So I feel your pain. All right, let's go to episode 3. Noah Banks says, why don't you just make a hyper mode bow user? Well, a hyper mode bow user can do a ton of damage, but the problem is that you will die a lot, or at least I will, because you don't have a lot of strength. Plus, it's going to use up a ring slot, and you constantly have to find locations where you can get your vitality down to a safe level to trigger the ring, but not kill yourself. So I actually prefer to use the power within. To me, that's better than using the red tearstone ring. But I guess other people have done hyper bows or characters in hyper mode. I think it was just going to be too difficult and painful to do, so I decided to just do power within instead. Azo Tour says, do you have a video about early game weapons that you can upgrade to become beast weapons for PvP and in-game? Azo Tour, yes I do, and this surprises me a little bit. A lot of comments that I see can be answered if you guys would just do a little bit of search on my channel. So the next time you're wondering about something, I know I have over 100 videos in this channel. They're all Dark Souls related. I recommend you do a search on the channel and see if what you're looking for is there. And if I don't have it, I'm sure somebody in the Dark Souls community has it. So, yes, I do have a video for how to get early weapons. As a matter of fact, I think I use early game in the title. So, go ahead and check it out as a tour. All right, episode 4. Bolitarian Savior says, "We Sumbros are gonna hunt you down, Phantom." Okay, thanks for the warning, Bolitarian. I'll be looking out for you out in the, I guess, out there in the Dark Souls universe. Gokulari has another comment. He says, "Have you ever managed to play this through with 0 deaths?" All right, Gokulari, you are a madman. No, I have never tried to play the game with 0 deaths. But on the other hand, I have never tried to play the game with 0 deaths. Or, I guess that would be a cool thing to do, is try to play as long as you can without dying. If I was going to do that, there are different strategies that you can use, whether you're going to play online or offline. If you're going to play offline, obviously you can use some of the cheese tactics that I'm using here, where you're taking out enemies without them touching you or even knowing that you're there. And I would have to make a really, really overpowered character. So it would take an extremely long time in order to do that and not die. But is it possible? Yes, but I don't know if I have the patience or the skill to do it. However, I think online it would be easier to do if you had two really strong, friendly phantoms, and also a friendly black phantom that invaded you. So essentially, you would have 3 other characters that could go there with you, and you can just keep summoning them, and they could clean things out for you. So to me, that would be the surefire way to play the game, having a chance to not die, is to go online and have 3 people with you at all times. All right, let's go to episode 6. Brett Barrett and Mark Duffin, their comments are very similar. They basically said that they don't want detailed titles so they can be surprised with what is coming up. So I understand what you guys are wanting there, that you look forward to a video. Hopefully you look forward to one of my videos and you kind of want to be surprised. You don't want to know, for example, that the boss fight with Siff is coming up. You want to just kind of be surprised. The reason that I use detailed titles is because I think it makes it easier for the videos to be found. And the reason I'm putting these videos out here is as a service to the community and as a payback to the community, because I've used quite a number of other YouTube channels and videos as resources, and it's a lot easier when they're well annotated and they have detailed titles and they have good search phrases, so that they're easy to find. So that's the reason I do it. I'm sorry if that spoils the surprise a little bit, but I'm doing it as a service to the community, and I think it works better with detailed titles. Let's go on to episode number 7. Banked So Sick says, "Bows are very powerful if you know how to use them correctly. Most of the time you won't even be hit if you're good enough." And Viridian Island, who actually recommended this walkthrough, says, "I used the composite bow for hours in the forest, winning about 70% of matches. I don't think people know how to counter bows." You know what, guys? You guys are both right. The bows can be surprisingly powerful, and I think in PvP, not a lot of people, you don't come up against a lot of bow users. So when you do come up with one, you may have some difficulties at the way that some of those PvPers are using either standard bows or even great bows, which are extremely dangerous in PvP. But one of the strategies, if you guys want to add it sort of as a secondary weapon, and it really works well if you don't have any other kind of ranged attack, if you're not a magic user or if you're not using pyromancy, is to equip poison arrows and to poison your enemy. And that puts a little bit of pressure on him, and after you've poisoned him, because even if he's holding up a shield, the poison's going to go through, and after you poison him, he might feel pressure into healing or making a mistake. So I definitely recommend checking out the composite bow for PvP. I've tried a little bit of it. 70% win. That is outstanding, Viridian Island. I would not want to come up against you with that kind of a record. Pretty impressive. Okie doke. Move on to episode 8. Derek Mech Goldrick says, Americans. Composite bow. Good job, it's not an aluminium bow. He misspelled aluminum, but I think he was trying to say is aluminium. So, Derek apparently is from the UK, and as a Brit, he takes umbrage at how Americans speak English. So, I guess I'll just tell you guys a quick story. I'm not going to try to defend my accent or anything like that. I don't make fun of how you speak, Derek, so I try to use... there's nothing I can do about my accent, but I do try to use good grammar. So you can ding me on my grammar, but don't ding me on my accent. But anyway, a quick little story here is that the best accent I've ever heard was from a gentleman that I worked with that was German, but moved to Australia. And he was a fluent English speaker, but he picked up an Australian accent when he spoke English in addition to his German accent. So he had a German Australian accent when he spoke English. It's really, you guys can't even comprehend how awesome it was. Plus he was a great guy. I would pay money to listen to this guy narrate videos of paint drying. I mean, his accent was just amazing, and I could just listen to him for hours, even if he was just, reading a very long, boring book. So anyway, that's my favorite, I guess, accent or voice story. All right, episode 9. Defied DNL says, you should have saved Gwyndolin Soul and made the Dark Moon Bow and use it with Moonlight Arrows, and that's like one of the highest bow attack ratings in the game. It is, but it's split damage rating, and it's not as good, really, as the split damage, magic and physical damage that you get with an enchanted bow. Enchanted composite bow. Now, it has a little bit more range, but in my opinion, actually, a composite enchanted bow is better than the Dark Moon Bow. So the Dark Moon Bow, to me, was a huge disappointment. Huge disappointment. I'm still upset about it. And let's face it, Moonlight Arrows are ridiculously expensive. So to me, there's not even a question as far as if I was a magician and I wanted a bow, I'm gonna make an enchanted composite bow or even an enchanted longbow before I think about the Dark Moon Bow. Dale Dinosaur says, weird. The King Jeremiah armor set didn't appear for me even though I killed him, so I just left. Alright, Dale, a couple of things. Number one, I find the picture that you're using in YouTube to be a little disturbing. But anyway, to go back to your question, the reason the armor didn't show up is because you have to go back to the area. If you killed Jeremiah and then you immediately went in and you killed Priscilla, then you won't see the armor set. And that's true for the a couple of other sets as well. That's true for the Paladin set. So what you want to do is you want to kill the invader, then you want to go back to the bonfire, then you want to go into the boss fight and the armor set will appear. Otherwise, what you can do is after you've killed the boss is quit and reload the game and the armor will appear. So hopefully that helps you out. Episode 10, Connor Jones. Did you know if you have the orange charred ring, the one that lets you walk on lava, you do fire damage with your kicks, very little but more than your fists? Connor Jones, I did not know that. So thank you for telling me that, and I did go in and try that, and it's kind of cool. So thanks for the knowledge. Arrow Valkyrie says, show us your cheese tactics. So, okay, Arrow, well, here you go. You're watching my cheese tactics, so hopefully you've stuck long enough with the series that even though you asked for cheese in episode 10, it's not being delivered till this episode, but here you go, a whole bunch of cheese. J Shag News says, "This is so satisfying to watch." Byron Wordle says, "I'm raging just watching this. Are you a monk or something?" So I guess one viewer really likes the fact that I'm taking on this game with only the bow. Another person is kind of angry that I'm able to do it. I guess the only thing I could say, guys, is practice makes perfect. You know, just like anything that at the beginning appears hard and complicated, if you do it enough times, if you do a little bit of research, and you practice, you can get pretty good at it. As a matter of fact, if you guys, just practice the game, I have no doubts that you could be even better than me at Dark Souls. So, and I guess I'm not a monk. And Byron, please don't rage. Episode 11. Nicholas Mainwaring says, I'm making a crossbow bow playthrough, and um, I need to know what will be better: heavy crossbow plus 15 or heavy chaos crossbow plus 5. Human Lucifer says heavy chaos crossbow is impossible. I suggest lightning crossbows don't scale, so plus 15 isn't really the best choice. So using the that's a tough question. That's a tough question. I would probably again, it depends on what you're going to use the bow for. You have a bow, so I think the crossbow is going to be your secondary weapon. So in this case, I would say stick with the heavy chaos crossbow, because your bow is already going to be a physical bow. So I guess that would be my recommendation for you, Nicholas Mainwaring. If your bow is going to be a physical bow, then make a chaos crossbow. If your bow is going to be a chaos bow, then go ahead and make a physical crossbow. That way you have two different ways of dealing damage. All right, and sorry about that, guys. That was sort of a long, convoluted answer to that question. Episode 12. Crampy Bad Kid says, "What's up with the colors changing all the time? I mean, it gets brighter, then darker, and so on." Crampy Bad Kid, you kind of sound like your handle. You're being kind of whiny as well as crampy. I don't know what you're talking about as far as the colors. The colors on this episode are not changing with me. Hopefully, it doesn't have anything to do with some hallucinogenic, recreational entertainment you're partaking of. But I'm sorry you're having problems with the colors. I perhaps look at the settings on your monitor or change the resolution settings on YouTube and see if that helps. But I don't think the colors are changing all the time. Sorry about that. All right, the Koala Skiller HD says, "Nice. Can you upload some PvP sessions sometimes?" I thought about it, but I'm not really interested that much in PvP, especially after I did my easy mode. I have a level 300 mage that is just beast as far as using dark magic. And once you've used that character for PvP, it just kind of spoils you. I do like to do PvP with the washing pole, which is my favorite weapon in the game. So if I do anything, I might do some PvP sessions with the washing pole. I have a character that is using a +2 Dark Moonblade with a +15 washing pole, and I've had a decent amount of success with PvP. So I'll think about it, but I don't really do a lot of PvP, guys. Episode 13. XZ Soulless ZX says, "You should do a Man-Eater Mildred cosplay. Let's play. LOL." No, I am never gonna do a Man-Eater Mildred cosplay. It's just not gonna be a lot of fun to do, guys. I mean, it might be a lot of fun for you guys to watch maybe one or two episodes and watch me struggle, but as far as doing a fun cosplay, Man Eater is the furthest from my mind, so that's not gonna happen. Sorry about that. Advisor P49 says, playing with Xbox 360, have composite bow plus 15, can't get it past 324 strength. How did you and yours get to 384? So I had this comment from a couple of people where they couldn't get the damage up to what I had. I don't know if this is an issue with Xbox, with the Xbox version of Dark Souls, or it's related to the DLC. But with the DLC, I know that some bows, the scaling went up all the way up to 27 strength and 40 dexterity, and maybe that wasn't the case before. So I don't know what to tell you, but if you do play the downloadable content, and or at least if you have the downloadable content installed, and if you're playing on PS3 with a composite bow, you can get the damage that I showed you guys. So hopefully that helps. Episode 14. TRTWH says, love it. I've been watching a playthrough of Dark Souls where the player is using a steering wheel to play. Would you consider doing this? Alright, first of all, I'm trying to figure out how that would work. So, if this guy is using a steering wheel to play, he has a custom controller, he's playing on PC, and he somehow ended up mapping the controls so that they would work with his steering wheel. So that is absolutely crazy and insane, TRTWH. So no, I would never consider doing that. Using a steering wheel to play Dark Souls, a game that is so incredibly um, focused on controlling your character. So besides, it's on PC, and I don't have the capability to record as good as I have with the PS3. I'm trying to fix that in the future so that I can record off my PC, but I don't have a good solution for it right now. So I would not do that. If you guys want to check out some really crazy walkthroughs of Dark Souls, though, I recommend you go to Twitch TV and you search for Lobos Jr. LOBOSJR. This guy is insane. He's made some of the most insane, crazy challenge plays that you can think of. You know, fist only, shield only, two shields. It's crazy. Just he has so many different types of playthroughs, and they're actually, some of them are actually kind of fun. So go to Twitch, and why don't you send a message to Lobos in Twitch and ask him to do a steering wheel playthrough, and he might take you up on it. All right. Didi Kiki Furolo says, does the Leo ring work with bows? Yes, the Leo ring does work with bows. As a matter of fact, if you watch my playthrough, I made sure that I killed Smo first in Anor Londo so that I was able to get the Leo drop. And I believe I used the Leo ring on a couple of boss fights. I'm trying to remember. I think Artorias was one where I used the Leo ring. But yes, the Leo ring does work with bows because um, arrows do thrust damage. So it's a great ring if you're going to be using the bow quite a bit, especially if you're going to be using it as your primary weapon. I would say though that I actually value the Hawk ring over the Leo ring, and that's because the Hawk ring allows you to cheese. Because you can, poke at the enemies or throw arrows at the enemies from a longer, further away past their aggro range, which is not something that you're going to be able to do with the Leo ring. So I actually think the Hawk ring is better than the Leo ring. And that might be a little bit controversial, so I look forward to your comments on that. Episode 15, Chisnam says, I'm addicted to your vids, haha. I was wondering if you could do a strength build walkthrough. I'm really struggling, haha. I've done a sorcery walkthrough already. Strength build. You know what, Ches? I've actually thought about that because that's probably the only walkthrough that I really haven't done. I really haven't seriously done. I've pretty much done all other kinds of weapons, and I've done faith builds and int builds and stuff. They're not posted on YouTube, but I've done them. But I don't know if I've ever done a true strength build. So one of the things that I've always wanted to try is the Man-Serpent great sword. That's a really good weapon because you're able to very quickly build up a lot of damage, a lot of attack rating. Now the top end is not as good as some of the other weapons, but it also has a pretty fast swing speed. So the Man-Serpent Greatsword it's a really good weapon for strength build. So I might try that, and if it's kind of fun, I might throw it on YouTube. Who knows? We'll see. Dig Under 14 says, LOL, he's going to kill Hawkeye in the past, dressed as one of his four fellow knights. Ooh, the irony and at least the twist. Dig Under, I don't know what to say about that. You basically have put it perfectly, and you've stated it better than I ever could. I didn't think about the irony, but you are absolutely right. All right, and finally, episode 16, He Who Likes Cake. And I assume that you're a Portal, that you like the game Portal, He Who Likes Cake. He says, I still don't know why you didn't use the black bow instead of using the composite bow. The black bow has better scaling and can be upgraded in the normal path. Not only that, it has better range than the composite bow. It's not that hard to get at the beginning, just annoying. Well, I think I mentioned this several times. So the reason I didn't use the composite, there's many reasons why I didn't use the longbow, why I used the composite bow. Number one, it does more damage. Just straight up, whether you upgrade it via the normal path, a magic path, or an elemental path, a composite bow is always going to be better than the longbow. I can buff the range of the composite bow with the hawk ring, and I can use feather arrows. That makes it pretty much almost equivalent to the longbow. Obviously, the longbow is going to have better range, but it mitigates that issue when I use the hawk ring or I use feather arrows. There's no way to get the damage of the longbow up to the damage of the composite bow, but I can do something about the range. So from that standpoint, the composite bow is better. And third, I actually think that the composite bow is a lot easier to get, and like you pointed out, a lot less annoying to get than the black bow. And I wanted to start using a bow as soon as I could during the walkthrough, so that's why I ended up using the composite bow. And I guess the final reason is that I was going to do a lot of mid-range fighting, a lot of mid-range melee with the enemies. I wasn't going to do a lot of cheese because that takes time and that would be boring on a walkthrough, which is why I'm doing the cheese during this episode. So from that standpoint, the composite bow is certainly better because of the attack range. It fires pretty fast. So those are the reasons why I went with the composite bow as opposed to a longbow. It doesn't mean that you can't do it with the longbow. They're actually, both weapons are fairly close together. So, the other, I guess another reason for the composite bow over the longbow is that the composite bow does have lower stat requirements than the longbow. I think it requires 2 lex dexterity. So, for that reason, if you were not making a dex build but you wanted an elemental weapon, or if you're a magic user, I would pick the composite bow over the longbow. All right, and the final comment I want to address in this mailbag episode, Doom 12 Lego fan says, it may not be the most fun way to play, but it would definitely be interested to see a shield only walkthrough. Doom, I'm going to refer you to Lobos and the entire YouTube universe. There are a bunch of playthroughs with shields, and they really don't look, maybe interesting, but really not a lot of fun to do. So I'm sorry, that's not something that I would be interested in doing, but there are plenty of people that have done it. Again, in Twitch, you can check out Lobos Jr., and he has a shield. I think he may even have a double shield walkthrough. So go ahead and check that out. All right, guys. Well, that is going to do it for this mailbag episode. Again, I want to thank you for sticking through this series with me. Thank you for the views. Thank you for the comments. Thank you for the likes, and even thank you for the dislikes, because it's all positive feedback. One last thing I would like is, again, I'm thinking about what my next video walkthrough is going to be. And I'm actually have been playing quite a bit of Dragon's Dogma Dark Arisen. And I'm enjoying it. And to take a little bit of a break from Dark Souls, I was thinking about doing a Dark Arisen walkthrough. So anyway, I've put a straw poll together. I'll put the link in the description, but it's strawpoll.me/452765, and the options are Dark Souls no HUD, no heal, Dark Souls level 1, Dark Arisen Vegeta Challenge normal, and Dark Arisen Vegeta Challenge hard. So I think they're all pretty much self-explanatory. So check out that poll. I'll leave it open for a few days, and I'll decide based on that poll. This is the Tech Phantom signing off.